Have you ever looked up at the sky on a hot summer day and wondered why some clouds are fluffy and white, while others are dark and heavy, ready to pour rain down on us? Or have you watched the rain start to fall and wondered, where did all this water come from? Today, we're going to take a fun journey through the sky to answer these questions. We're going to explore how clouds form, how rain happens, and why this all matters for our planet. Let's start with clouds. When you look at a cloud, what do you think it is? Most people say that clouds are made of water, and that's true. But did you know that clouds are actually made up of tiny water droplets or ice crystals? These droplets are so small that they can float in the air. But how does this happen? To understand this, we need to know about evaporation. Imagine you're at the beach on a sunny day. The sun is shining, and you can feel the warmth on your skin. As the sun heats up the water in the ocean, some of that water turns into vapor, which is like an invisible gas that rises into the air. This process is called evaporation. Once the water vapor is up in the air, it cools down. As the air cools, the vapor turns back into tiny water droplets. This process is called condensation. These tiny droplets stick together and form clouds. So when you see a cloud in the sky, you're actually looking at billions of tiny water droplets clumped together, floating high above us, and that's just the beginning. But what happens next? Well, for a cloud to turn into rain, something special has to happen. As the cloud grows, it gathers more and more water vapor, and the tiny droplets begin to get bigger. At some point, the droplets become too heavy to stay in the cloud. When this happens, the water falls to the ground as rain, but rain doesn't always happen in the same way. Sometimes, clouds can form in the morning, and by the afternoon, we see rain, but other times, it takes a while for a cloud to release its water. The difference depends on how much moisture is in the air, how cold the temperature is, and how high the cloud is. Now let's talk about the different types of clouds and why they matter. Have you ever noticed that some clouds look light and fluffy, while others look dark and heavy? Well, this has to do with how much water they contain and how high they are in the sky. For example, cumulus clouds are the fluffy ones that you might see on a bright day. They are usually white and have a cotton-like appearance. These clouds are usually formed when warm air rises quickly, and they don't bring much rain. But when cumulus clouds get larger and darker, they can turn into cumulonimbus clouds, which are the big, dark clouds that bring thunderstorms and heavy rain. On the other hand, stratus clouds are thick, gray clouds that cover the sky like a blanket. These clouds can bring light rain or drizzle. They usually form when the air is cool and the clouds are low in the sky. Then, there are cirrus clouds. These clouds are thin, wispy clouds that are very high in the sky. They don't bring rain, but they can be a sign that a weather change is coming. For example, if you see cirrus clouds early in the day, you might expect a storm later, as they often appear before a cold front arrives. So now we know that clouds are made of tiny water droplets that come from evaporated water, and that rain happens when these droplets get too heavy to stay in the air. But why is all of this important? Well, the formation of clouds and rain is a crucial part of the Earth's water cycle. The water cycle is nature's way of recycling water. When the sun heats up oceans, lakes, and rivers, water evaporates into the air. This water vapor forms clouds. And when the clouds get heavy, the water falls as rain or snow. After the rain, the water returns to rivers, lakes, and oceans, where it can be evaporated again, and the cycle repeats. This cycle helps distribute fresh water across the Earth, which is essential for plants, animals, and humans. Without the water cycle, our planet wouldn't have the fresh water needed to survive. So every time it rains, think of it as nature's way of sharing water with the world. Now let's think about how this knowledge can help us in our daily lives. Have you ever heard someone say, "It's going to rain today," just by looking at the clouds? That's because, over time, people have learned to understand the signs that clouds give us. For example, when you see dark, heavy clouds in the sky, you can usually expect rain soon. And when you see light, fluffy clouds, the weather is likely to stay clear. But what about those days when the weather forecast says, there's a chance of rain, and you're not sure whether to bring an umbrella. Understanding the science behind cloud and rain formation can help you make better predictions. For instance, if you see clouds forming in the morning, but the air is still warm, you might expect some afternoon showers. Or if you see a thick gray layer of clouds covering the sky, it could mean rain is already happening or soon to come. This kind of knowledge isn't just useful for planning your day. It also helps us understand how weather systems work and how we can prepare for changes in the weather. For farmers, scientists, and even travelers, understanding clouds and rain is a big part of predicting the weather and making decisions. So let me ask you this. What's your favorite type of weather? Do you enjoy the sunshine and blue skies? Or do you find rain calming and peaceful? Whatever your answer, we can all agree that clouds and rain are essential parts of the Earth's natural systems. As we wrap up, I want to leave you with a thought. Next time you look up at the sky and see a cloud, take a moment to wonder, where did it come from? How did it form? And what's going to happen next? The answer is part of the fascinating process of the water cycle, and understanding it helps us appreciate the wonders of nature. As the famous scientist Albert Einstein once said, "Look deep into nature, and then you will understand everything better." The more we learn about the natural world around us, the more we can appreciate the beauty and complexity of the systems that keep our planet alive.